What do we think about when we think of a castle? This majestic painting on loan from the National Gallery, the Fortress of Königstein from the north, painted by Bernardo Bellotto in 1756–58, is typical of what we expect a castle to be: powerful, commanding, and set within a magnificent natural landscape. Castles are a fertile subject for the creative imagination, but this castle is real. Königstein was first built in the 13th century and rebuilt in the 16th. It lies about 25 miles southeast of Dresden in present-day Germany, and it still exists today. A stronghold of the historic rulers of Saxony, like Norwich Castle, it was adapted over time and at one point in its history used as a state prison. Also like our castle, it is now a museum. This impressive rendition by Bernardo Bellotto is one of 5 large-scale views of Königstein, commissioned by his most important and prestigious patron, Frederick Augustus, the Elector of Saxony, also known as Augustus III, King of Poland. The other 4 paintings in the series also survive, each painted from a different viewpoint. 2, now in Manchester Art Gallery, show the fortress from within the walls, and the other 2, in the National Gallery of Art in Washington and in a private collection, are exterior views. The escalation of the 7 Years' War, which lasted from 1756 to 63, and the invasion of Dresden by Prussian troops just after the Königstein paintings were commissioned, meant that they were never delivered. Bellotto's patron, Augustus III, fled to Warsaw in autumn 1756 after having sought refuge in the fortress for several months. Bellotto was paid for the pictures in 1758, which suggested he had finished them, but it seems that they were never delivered and we don't know what happened to them afterwards. We do know that all 5 Königstein paintings were imported into Britain during the artist's lifetime. Bellotto, whose dates were 1722 to 1780, was born in Venice and trained under his uncle, the famous view painter Canaletto. From him he learnt the basic principles of drawing and painting topographical views, which he later applied to his own work. Bellotto specialised in painting cityscapes, both in Italy and in Northern Europe, where he spent most of his working life. As we can see, there is a lot happening in this picture. Bellotto has given us a wide view of the castle and its surroundings, but at the same time with a great many small details highlighted. His amazing use of light has the effect of making us focus in more closely on different areas in turn. For instance, the sunlight illuminates the white back of this cow, making us notice that there are other animals in the picture, which we might not have seen straight away. The same shaft of sunlight also lights up this man's horse and the sleeve of the man talking to him. In the foreground, here we have a group of 3 men. To the right, another separate group of a mother with her 2 children is picked out. These vignettes pique our curiosity and make us wonder what they are all talking about. We may imagine ourselves eavesdropping on several different conversations. In fact, this is a busy scene, everyone going about their various everyday activities. But because the figures are small and the scale of the work and castle so large, it may take a while to notice this. If we look further upwards, we can see more figures. There are 2 groups directly at the base of the walls. At first, I wondered if these people were standing by an entrance to the fortress waiting to be let in, but I'm not sure they are. One thing which I did not register about this picture initially is that in fact you can't really see an obvious way in. To me, this increases its air of power. Further over to the right, there is building work of some sort going on. We know that the fortress buildings included a barracks which was extended in the first half of the 18th century, so this must be what is happening. Right at the very top are 2 tiny figures of soldiers keeping guard over the ramparts. Seeing them, compared to the larger figures in the foreground, gives us an idea of how huge the structure of the fortress is. Bellotto excelled at portraying broad, sweeping vistas. Here he has adopted a very low viewpoint, which emphasises the fortress's dominance within the landscape. The height at which it is placed dwarfs everything else around and forces us, as viewers, to look up towards it. It also gives us a vivid idea of the viewpoint the people in the neighbourhood would have had. This massive edifice would always have been somewhere in their line of sight. Were they constantly aware of the power of their ruler watching them? Did they feel insignificant by comparison? Or was the sight so familiar that they scarcely noticed it? The watchful soldiers remind us that little could happen in the land surrounding without being seen, which was the idea, of course. Castles were designed as places for defence and vigilant surveillance. Strategic positioning was all important, as well as the architectural construction, which, as here, where it is sometimes difficult to distinguish the building from the rock face, conveys impregnable permanence. The architecture also made the most of human resources. A relatively small force would be needed to defend a castle, a much larger one to besiege it successfully. Once Königstein had been extended and reinforced in the 16th century into the form as we see it here in the painting, it was never conquered. Augustus III's troops were defeated by the Prussians in Dresden in 1756, but not here at this castle. Its defensive strength and its success as a prison gave it the nickname of the Bastille of Saxony. While today we may often think of this type of castle as a romantic remnant of the past, when in use, castles had a political function as powerful emblems of the prevailing social order. We do not know what King Augustus thought of his court artist's painting of this extraordinary fortress, but the fact that he commissioned 5 views of it is significant in and of itself, and it is undeniable that Bellotto has created a stunning portrait of both the building itself and its surroundings. By portraying Königstein as strong and eternal, Bellotto is indirectly also depicting his patron's rule and family as similarly long-lasting and impressive, a central feature around which other parts of life revolved.